it's not about going back. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. Resilience is about having the courage to move forward, deciding that maybe there's a life beyond what was the life you ever knew. But I tell you what, if you have that little glimmer of hope and you start to get your mindset right and shift your perspective, and you believe in the possibilities and you run towards those possibilities, anything is possible.
2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to Stellar Life Podcast. This is your host, Orion. Amberlys Lago is a peak performance coach, TEDx speaker, podcaster, and a leading expert in the field of resilience and transformation. She is the best-selling author of True Grit and Grace and the founder of Unstoppable Life Mastermind. Through her book, Coaching Methods and Masterminds, she has curated unique tools to teach others how to tap into their superpower of resilience and elevate their life and businesses. Amberlys has most recently been featured on NBC's The Today Show, The Doctors, Hallmark, Forbes, USA Today, and many, many more. She is a hard-driven woman who, regardless of the extreme trauma she experienced, and she's been through a lot, she decided not to be a victim, and she was driven by becoming an example of resilience to her daughters. We talked about how to deal with emotions instead of numbing them, and how not to lose faith, and how to live a miraculous life. And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hello, Amberlys. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the show.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. We had a little bit of like trying to connect and get each other here on the same screen. And I'm just so grateful. I think sometimes the hardest part is just to like actually make the connection. So we made it. We're here. And I'm so happy to be here and serve your audience. And my intention is to really share some tips and tools on how to build resilience and just serve your amazing audience. I love your show and it's an honor to be here. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I love your shirt. It says love on it. And I think you're all about love. Even when I asked you, hey, do you want to promote something on the show? You're like, no, I'm just here to serve. And you were dead serious about it. I just want to help.
I'm really here to serve your audience. And yeah, I'm like, no, I don't want to promote anything except for maybe love. Yes. You like my shirt?
Yeah, let's promote love
I'm
today.
comfy in my office right now and got my favorite sweatshirt on. So yeah.
So you had you have a very traumatic story on how you became resilient. Can you share a little bit about your story and how it brought you to what you're doing today?
Yeah, well, I think so many of us are going through, gosh, such challenging times. And I'm not one to watch the news, but my husband like wakes up and turns the news on first thing. And I'm just like, oh gosh, it can be so depressing, to watch the news. But the truth is, we all go through pain and challenges and hard times. And I remember, my husband would tell my daughter, well, life's not fair. Life is hard. And I'm like, don't tell her that. But the truth is, life is kind of hard sometimes. Life isn't fair sometimes. But the good thing is we have a never-ending supply of resilience within us. And we have the ability to tap into that at all moments. And I realized looking back at my life, I'm going to be 50 years old tomorrow. And I thought, wow,
Oh my God, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Oh, you're an Aries like me.
Actually, Pisces. Pisces.
Pisces,
Maybe
so
I'm at the
close.
cusp.
You're March like me.
Oh, yeah. So are you at the end of March?
Yeah, March 31st.
Oh, okay. So we're like soul sisters. We're like I don't know too much about, but I know that Aries and Pisces are very similar, and I love
Yeah.
learning about all the signs and all of that. And I'm always curious. And it's funny because the people that I connect with so often who that really get it like on a deeper level are Pisces and Aries. Like we just connect.
Oh,
So
cool.
happy birthday, happy early birthday to you.
No, happy early birthday to you. So I feel like birthdays are a day of reflection, whether we want it or not. I know that when I hit my birthday, I'm like, what just happened and what I want to happen. So when you look back um, on that journey, what do you feel? Like how are you?
I'm grateful to be alive. I asked my husband, I said, I think we all have a superpower in us. Like we all are
Mhm.
really good at doing something, and it's that one thing that people ask us all the time. So, if you're sitting here listening and you're like, well, I don't know what my superpower is. Well, what is that thing that people tell you all the time that you're really good at or that you're super at? Because we all love superheroes, like whether it's Wonder Woman or Superman, and they take that cape off or the crown off or the costume. It's not that makes us super. It's that what's inside us that makes us super. And I asked my husband, I was like, well, honey, what do you think it is that's my superpower? And he's like, well, you just won't die. And I'm like, well, thanks. That's pretty harsh. I just won't die. But I think it's because, I have been through some traumatic experiences and hard challenges. And I think probably one of the most challenging times was when I was riding my motorcycle and I got hit by an SUV. And,
Mm.
I was rushed to the hospital. I was put in induced coma. And I remember every moment from the time I saw the car. And I thought, when you're on a motorcycle, you think defensively, like you think, okay, does that person see me? Yep, that person sees me. Okay, is that person moving out of my way? Oh, that person sees me. But I made eye to eye contact with this guy and I thought, okay, he sees me. And then at the last minute, I'm like, oh, he either sees me and doesn't care or he's trying to beat traffic or whatever, but it's too late. And all I had time to do was just jump off my motorcycle, let off the clutch. And immediately I felt pain. And
Oh,
I remember sliding across the asphalt and thinking, please just don't let another car run into me. Please don't let another car hit me. And when I came to a stop, I looked down at my leg and it was just broken into pieces. And at that moment, I didn't realize how serious it was. Even when I got rushed to the hospital and I was being put in induced coma, I started to think how serious it was only because it was the first time I had ever seen my husband cry.
wow.
Not like a normal cry with tears, like hysterical crying. And he's a first responder. He was lieutenant commander with a highway patrol. I had never
Wow.
seen him like that. And so they put me in induced coma. And the first thing I learned when I woke up out of a coma was there's nothing we can do for you. We have to amputate your leg. This is,
Oy.
like a war wound. So me being, an elite athlete, a professional dancer, I had a fitness business. I had, you know, was doing infomercials for Body by Jake, um, health, shape, you name it. I was like at the height of my career when this happened. And so I thought, oh my goodness, to think of having my leg amputated was just not something that was on the radar. And so when they said, well, you only have a 1% chance, I was like, well, 1%, well, then there's still a chance. So I'm going to
Wow.
take that chance. And we just need to find a doctor who's willing to take that chance with me. And so it really took an act of God. And we got, I got transferred to Cedars. And little by little, day by day, Dr. Wiz saved my leg. It took eventually 34 surgeries to do it. And at that moment, in the moment, and still sometimes, because I still live with chronic pain. In fact, I'm going to take my shoe off right now. Um, as a result of the injury, I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome, which leaves me in constant chronic pain. And I was told I'd be wheelchair bound forever, that I would never work again, that my life would never be the same. And you know what? My life isn't the same, but it's even better than I could ever imagine. Here I am getting to talk with you, getting to connect with your community, and it's when you're going through a real hard challenge, it's sometimes hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's sometimes hard to think that there will ever be a blessing or a lesson in that challenge that you're going through. But I will tell you that there's always a lesson and there's always a blessing in everything that you're going through. And it it's been a way for me. My pain has been my biggest teacher. It's allowed me to learn how to truly love myself again because I hated myself. It's
Wow.
I hated the way I looked, hated the way,
Really?
oh my gosh, well, I'm completely scarred from the hip down. I'm deformed. Um, from the hip down, my whole leg and foot is made of metal, and to go from being a fitness model to someone who's deformed, I went through this whole thing of, is my husband going to ever love me again? Am I going to be able to
Okay.
run after my kids? Am I going to be able to
Wow.
work? Am I going to be able to walk? I mean, I was in a hospital bed for months. And to go,
How old were your kids then?
my youngest daughter was 2 and my oldest daughter was
Okay.
just going into high school. And
Oh,
she
wow,
doesn't
that's
remember
so
this, but I
difficult.
remember it very vividly. I was in the hospital and she had her mother daughter school dance. And she said,
Mm.
Mom, I don't want you to go with me if you're going to be in a wheelchair. And it crushed me. And like
Wow.
I said, she doesn't remember saying that, but I remember it vividly. And I was like, please just let me get out of this wheelchair. Now, no shame in being in a wheelchair. Look, my little brother has been in a wheelchair his whole life since he's never been
Mm.
able to walk. So I
Wow.
have grown up with, you know, that is a possibility. That just wasn't the vision I had for me. That wasn't a
Mm.
possibility I wanted for me. I wanted to get out of the wheelchair. I wanted to do more.
Mm.
I wanted to be able to chase after my kids. I wanted to be able to get back into the life that I was doing. But guess what? It's not about going back. Resilience isn't about bouncing back. Resilience is about having the courage to move forward, deciding that maybe there's a life beyond what was the life you ever knew. Because, I tried so hard to get back to that. Oh, I tried so hard to get back to being a trainer and training those clients, and that's all I wanted to do. And then it took me bleeding out on the gym floor and my husband being at the
Mm.
gym and going, what are you doing? You
Wow.
get off of your leg. I was on surgery, I don't know, number 28, 30, I don't know, somewhere I
Oh.
lost track. And he said, you're killing yourself. You're bleeding out on the gym floor trying to train these clients. And took that for me to go, maybe there's something else. You don't have to get to the point where you're bleeding out or you're literally killing yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. Stop and ask yourself, what is it that brings you joy? How can I be of service in a way that's going to serve me and my family? And go after that. It doesn't have to look exactly like it did before. And I know there's a lot of people out there that maybe, are going through some stuff from, the from COVID. But we're getting through it all. We're getting through this huge pandemic. We're getting through it. But maybe if you ask yourself, well, what if I could do something more or better or beyond my wildest dreams? Because it's possible. And let me tell you, I'm living proof that it is possible because only 5 years ago, I didn't even own a computer. And so, like right now, as those little beeps are coming up, I'm like, holy crap, I just updated my computer and it's not on do not disturb mode. And you know what? I will tell you, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to start. So I will share right now with anybody who's listening, don't wait until you have it all figured out because you won't ever have it all figured out. Just start. I didn't know how to write a book. I didn't have a college education. And I wrote a book and it became a best selling book. I am still figuring out technology and don't know how to do it all. I make mistakes. Don't wait till you have it all figured out. Just start. I didn't know how to do a podcast. I was like, I just want to start a podcast. I want to be able to share messages of resilience. And I still don't have it all figured out, but I just did it. So this is your sign. If you're listening to this, that if you feel like, oh, I want to do this big thing, but I don't know how to do it yet, just start. I mean, I'm sitting here going, oh gosh, on my computer, how do I figure out how to turn these notifications off? And so, yeah, just start.
It's beautiful. I want to ask you about your journey. When there was that time where you didn't love yourself. What was it like to find true love within? What was the journey like? How did you find true love within and fell in love with yourself again?
That's such a good question. Thank you for asking that. I was very blessed that I had a husband that loved me because I know a lot of people go through some traumatic injuries or a lot of changes, challenges, and they don't have a partner who loves them unconditionally. I mean, till they say till death do you part when you take your wedding vows, and I am
But sometimes it's the till money do you apart or till injury will do you apart for a lot of people.
right, and we had it all. We had $2.9 million worth of medical expenses, a lien on our house. I went from
Wow.
being the main breadwinner to losing it all, losing my career, losing everything. And he went from having a wife that he married that, we worked out together every day. We rode our sea-doos, we hiked, we were active to now he's a caregiver and having to carry my bedpan. And
Oh,
thankfully, he's a really good man and he loved me through it. And
he's
I
not
didn't,
spoiled. He's been to the army. I think it does something to people.
yeah, I
Oh
think
yeah.
so.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. He's a big boy. He's a man. That's what true masculinity is when you can lean on your men when it's hard. Not when everything is beautiful and you're like this beautiful, like vibrant person, successful and it's like look at her, but when it's super hard and like you said, he needs to take care of you and wow, what a shift. How was it for you? How did you handle this in the relationship? Like how? How did you do that?
well, it was really hard. And then back to the self-love part, thankfully I had him that he loved me. But I think what really shifted for me is, I'd gone through 34 surgeries. I was still in so much pain. And I had this brilliant idea. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to ask the doctor to amputate my leg. So I went to the doctor, Dr. Wiss, and I was like, you know what? I appreciate that you have really tried your best. Like, you saved my leg, but it's just giving me too much pain. I need to amputate it because I need to move on with my life and I can't deal with this pain. And he said, well, we can't do that. You've got CRPS. It's in your sympathetic nervous system. If we amputate your leg, it may cause it to get worse. It may spread. We can't do that. He did something that changed my life. He took my leg and he put it in his lap. And now I'm sitting on the, in the room in the doctor's office, and usually they'll put your leg up on the table or something, and he sat in front of me and put my leg on his lap, and I thought, wow, my first thought was, wow, I can't believe he's putting my ugly, deformed, disgusting leg on his nice white coat. And then he did something that completely changed everything. He looked at it and he looked at it like it was a masterpiece. And I thought, wow, if he can look at my leg that way, maybe I can learn to appreciate it and love it more as well. And that really changed my life that day in that room. And I decided to keep my leg. And every day I started to look at my leg the way that he looked at it, like it was a miracle. Like, wow, all these scars are what the human body is so powerful, and how we can get through each surgery, and how the body's ability to heal, and how powerful the human spirit is, and how we can get through so much. And it really shifted. And I thought, I want to be an example of a victor of my life and not a victim. I want to be an example of resilience for my daughters. And so every day I started to celebrate my body's ability to heal. And to this day, I look down at my leg as, wow, it's healing. It's working so hard to just be able to like hold me up and stand up and walk. Now today, fast forward 34 surgeries, I was told I'd never run again. I was told I'd be wheelchair bound. It took me 2 years, but I'm able to run. It's not always pretty and it's not always perfect, but it took me 2 years, and I ran again on the beach with my daughter. And I fell down and I cried and I laughed and I celebrated. But I tell you what, if you have that little glimmer of hope and you start to get your mindset right and shift your perspective, and you believe in the possibilities and you run towards those possibilities, anything is possible.
You're making me really happy right now. I'm so, uh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that I'm so grateful for this doctor. Just need one person to believe in you. Your doctor, your husband. Like sometimes we can't see ourselves as beautiful or as worthy, and we have all these illusions and all this, we wear those glasses that are a little darker, and then this one person comes, takes off the glasses, the other person comes and shine their light and love, and then you can see yourself as whole again. It's beautiful. Yeah. Have you ever done any stem cells or sound wave therapies on your scars?
hmm I've done, like I said, I've spent 2.9 million on treatments and surgeries, and so I've tried everything. I was actually a really good candidate for a while for any snake oil salesman out there that was like, we can cure your pain, we can make your scars look better. And I've even had, a company reach out and be like, oh, we would love to have you be an affiliate for our scar gel cream that makes it. Well, I don't even know what it was called, to be honest with you. But I'm like, no, I'm not about like trying to cover it up.
Well, the sound waves actually, yeah, the sound waves don't heal the scar, but they don't make the scar look beautiful, but they I don't know exactly the science of it, but I'm gonna send you a couple of resources uh, that I think can really help you, because the sound waves go deep into the deepest layer, and so it releases other parts of the fascia in the body. I had a guest here. It was all about sound therapy. So I'm going to send you some resources, and there is another doctor out of Tampa, Florida, that does incredible work with stem cells, and he's like top in the world. Um, so I'm going to send you that. I don't really know exactly, but I'm going to send you the information, then you can talk to him. And I'm actually going to put in the show notes for our listeners who need somebody that's been through some injuries, because there are more and more incredible things that we can do today to heal. Are you still endure pain? It looks like so.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's gotten better. I finally, thankfully, after trying all kinds of different treatments and everything from, sound wave therapy to, uh, I mean, let me tell you, and anybody who's listening who lives with any kind of chronic pain will totally understand what I'm saying. You're desperate. Like, you're desperate to get out of pain. I was so desperate, I wanted to die. I really was like,
wow.
I can't live like this. So I'm just going to die. And my husband can find another wife, and he'll find another person to help. My kids can find another mother. Like, when you're in that kind of, like, especially nerve pain, CRPS is ranked highest on the pain scale, which means it hurts worse than an amputation. It hurts worse than a kidney stone. It hurts worse than childbirth.
Wow,
It's
wow.
like, it's crazy. It's not like,
Wow.
oh, I have a little muscle ache. Like, honestly,
Deep.
CRPS pain is worse than, I would have 34 surgeries over again. Like, I would be like, sign me up for 34 more surgeries if I can be cured from CRPS, because there's no known cure. And so there are people out there that have had their legs amputated because the pain's so bad. And then the friends that I know that had that done, it didn't cure it.
Well, I believe that. Yeah, I believe that just like you had this like 1% to save the leg, you still have a chance to get rid of this pain forever.
I believe so too. And I think so much of it starts in your mindset. And I think that I'm able to manage my pain. And I've had a lot of people, honestly, that have gotten really angry at me for saying this. Like, I got a lot of haters for,
Really?
oh, I was on the doctor's TV and I didn't know I had haters until they released that episode of the doctor's TV, because, the way they edited it, it made it sound like I hadn't done anything else, any other treatments except for work on my mindset, and that you can just cure pain with your mindset. And I'm like, well, no, maybe you can't cure pain from your mindset, but you know what? I have a thriving life that starts with my mindset. Well, I should take that back. Starts with my connection to God. And then it starts with my mindset and, and how I look at pain and how I don't let it define me. Because, yes, I'm sitting here talking to you. I've got one shoe off, one shoe off. I mean, one shoe on, one shoe off, because I was starting to flare up a little bit. But it's everything that you do. It's not just about like getting this quick fix of a medication or a pill to fix it. It starts with, for me anyway, and I hope this helps somebody else that's going through any kind of pain, whether it's emotionally or spiritually or physically. It started with me just like being in radical acceptance for where I am, because I kept trying to stuff it down. I kept trying to like numb it out with alcohol. Like, and whether you're trying to numb it out with alcohol or over shopping or speed dating or overeating, whatever you're trying to do to numb out the pain demands to be heard. And it will come up. It'll come up in everything you do. It'll come up in the way that you lead, in the way that you love, in your relationships. And for me, I hit a wall. And it wasn't until I was like, okay, I have to take radical acceptance that this is a diagnosis that I've been given. It may not be the cards that I wanted or that I expected, but these are the cards that I've been dealt. So what am I going to do with it? Okay, I'm going to take radical acceptance. And when you do that, then it puts you in the driver's seat. It puts you in the driver's seat, and you can go, okay, well, these are the cards I've been dealt. Well, what can I do next? It gives you options to take next action steps and take better steps to make your life the best that it can be. And so for me, I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to acknowledge that I've been dealt with this pain, this nerve disease that there's no cure for. But guess what? It's what I've been dealt. So I'm going to take radical acceptance and go, okay, well, I can shift my mindset around it. I can start changing the way I eat. I can start changing the way that I wear my clothes. I can wear some, shoes that aren't going to flare me up. I can eat some anti-inflammatory foods. I can take the most amazing supplements that for the first time in my life are giving me relief. I can connect to God and turn it over and be like, you know what, God, this is too big for me to handle today. Can you take this for me? Um, I can be in a community of people and reach out for help and be of service. Let me tell you, being of service to other people has been magic. It has been my medicine. Even when I was stuck in the hospital bed, when I could sit there and couldn't get out of the bed, but I could reach out to other people to see how I could be of service, it changed my life. It got me out of self-pity and it got
How
me
did you
into gratitude. And gratitude is alchemy. It really turns what you can't do into what you can do and what you don't have into what you do have. And it's something I still practice every single day. So if you are in a place where you're in a challenge or you're in a dark spot or you're deal with a pain condition like me, I promise you, when you can start to get grateful for what you do have and what you can do, it will change your life.
Yeah. And when you help others, you take the focus out of your own pain and you just focus on others' pain, other people's pain, and it gives you some relief. And you said you were focusing on other people while you were in the hospital bed. How did you do that?
Well, I still had a business to run,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I was the main breadwinner, and so I was trying to think of every way possible that I could keep my business going and keep my clients happy and keep the trainers that were working with me in business too. And so when I said calling people to be of service, I was calling people to make sure that the trainers were still working with their clients. I was also calling clients. I remember I had just gotten out of a coma, and back then, this is 11 years ago, I had a BlackBerry phone, and I don't even know if they still make those, but I had a BlackBerry, and I remember they were trying to transport me from Northridge Hospital to Cedars, and I had my phone, and I'm like on this gurney, and I had my phone, and I was trying to text clients to get them set up for their next appointment, and they were really confused, and I was confused, and it was crazy because I didn't realize that I had been in a coma for as long as I had been. So when you're in a coma, it feels like you maybe took a nap and you woke up and you're like, okay, the show must go on. And I realized as I started getting messages, like people, my clients were like, Amberly, you've been in a coma for a while. Like, no, just take care of yourself. We'll be okay. But I was still trying to make sure, hey, I may be in the hospital for a little bit. I had no idea that I would be out of work for a year and a half, that I would be in the hospital for months at a time. But I still, was making exercise plans for clients. I was writing out nutritional plans. I even had one client call me and she was so distraught because she found out she was pregnant. And I was like, congratulations. And she's like, I don't want to have another baby. And I found myself telling her, I'll babysit for you. It's going to be okay. This is life. Here I was fighting for my life, and she was upset she was bringing another life into the world. But you know what? We got off the phone. She was happy. She's like, okay, I got a babysitter. And I was like, okay, I can be of service. I had purpose. And I think that's what it is. When you can be of service, it gives you purpose. And no matter what you're going through, find something that you can do to be of service to someone, whether that's making a phone call, no matter what that is. You don't have to have life all figured out. You don't have to be in the perfect situation yourself. You can even be struggling a little bit yourself, but if you have a purpose and you can go out there and serve and help someone, it's going to help you get through those hard days.
Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. I want to ask you about your connection to God through this through this hardship. Did you lose your faith and then gain it again? Um, how was that for you?
I don't think I lost my faith. Um, I mean, there's definitely been a time in my life where, after my first divorce, where I was angry at God. I was like,
Mm.
I had tried to bargain with God, and I learned that's not how it works. You can't bargain with God. Um, it's life on life's terms, and God always has bigger plans, bigger than you could ever imagine. But at the time, I was going through my divorce with my oldest daughter's dad, which that was probably one of the hardest times I've ever been through emotionally.
Mm.
Um, when things didn't go my way, I was angry and I was like, screw this. I mean, I was angry at God and I was like, where is a God? Where is the God that I know that would allow this to happen? And it took me a long time to get a connection with God again. And so by the time I had my motorcycle accident, I did have a connection with God again. Like, it took a lot of therapy, it took a lot of forgiveness, a lot of prayers, a lot of crying, ugly crying. But I had a connection with God again. So when I had my motorcycle accident, I had a connection, but it wasn't like the one that I have now. And it took me being in that place where we talked about earlier, where I was just like, well, I just don't want to live anymore. I'm done. I can't live like this. Who wants to live like this? That I got to that place where I thought about my daughters and I thought, you know what? This cannot be the way this can't be the end all be all. Like, there has to be more to life. And it was at my darkest moment that I really prayed and asked for help. And I got on my knees, and that moment changed my life. And I think that when we ask for help, it's sometimes hard. It was really hard for me to ask for help, but that changed my life. And still to this day, I have a spiritual connection to a higher power that I call God. Um, that I talk to. I grew up going to, very religious Bible Belt, Methodist church, Baptist churches. My parents split up. My mom went to a Methodist church. My dad went to a Baptist church. But it wasn't like that for me. It wasn't like religion. It wasn't like church to pray or find God. I find God in nature. I find God in my darkest moments, and I find God when I go and see and hear God speak through other people. And so, at my darkest moment, when I met a community of women who helped me get through a hard time, it was like I heard and saw God in their eyes and in their voice, and I knew that things were going to get better. So, still to this day, I pray every day. I have a group of women that I connect with. I think accountability is huge. So, I stay accountable to God by praying. I stay accountable to myself by having a morning ritual. And I stay accountable to a community of women who I call my God Squad, and check in, and we share a gratitude list every single day. And so, whether it's through prayer, whether you find God in church, or whether you find a God of your understanding through nature, I think for me, the only way I've been able to get through some of the hardest times of my life is because there's a God.
So beautiful. Um, what are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
You know what? I think living a stellar life, or, creating abundance, or having huge success is really up to the individual. It might look different for me than it is for you, but for me, having a stellar life means that getting to do the things that I love with the people that I love, and living a life of intention, um, and being present in the moment. Because nowadays it's so easy to get distracted by so many different things. And so I think it's really important to live a stellar life, to really pause and think about, what is that life that you want to create? What is that vision that you hold for yourself? Because, there's a lot of people out there that'll tell you, oh, you should do this, you should do that, you should be this, you should be that. But I think it's important to create a vision for yourself and really feed that vision with positivity, and really create that vision and become a part of that vision, and connect with people who believe in that vision, and stick with those puppy uppers and not the doggy downers. So I think that's living a stellar life is all about being you, staying true and being you no matter what.
That's beautiful. Where can people get your book and find you and get learn from you, coach with you?
Yeah, probably the best place is amberlylago.com. But if I'd really like to offer your listeners, because I'm just grateful to be here, your listeners a way to connect with me one on one and get a downloadable, playbook on how to tap into their superpower resilience. So if you just text me the word grit, GRIT, to 818 214 7378. Text me the word grit, just grit, and you'll get that free downloadable playbook. And it's me texting you back. So tell me, heard the podcast, reach out with any questions, and it's me texting. Sometimes it takes me a couple of days to get back. And I had a friend of mine, Catherine Gordon, who texted me, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's really you texting back? Like, people have access to you?"
Really? Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's me. And you know what? Because I like connecting with community. That's been the best part of my whole journey. So, yeah, you can text me, or you can find me at amberlylago.com, Amberly Lago Motivation on Instagram, to see some of the behind the scenes shenanigans. And True Grit and Grace is my book. True Grit and Grace podcast is my podcast. And look, I just appreciate being here with you and getting to connect with your amazing community and be on your amazing show. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You're incredible. You're such a lovely person and so kind and such a beautiful heart. And I am totally grateful that you're here and it's like been my absolute pleasure to get to know you and to see you. You're a great miracle and I love that you share your light in this way.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we actually made it work and we connected.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, listeners. Remember to do things you love with the people you love, live a life of intention, be present in the moment, and have a stellar life. This is Orion. Till next time.